Hello, this is Gatherings of Truth, and we are going to be adding Ellie to this conversation. My name is Tanya. And Good day, Ellie. Can you hear me?
Sorry, I was muted. Hello. I can hear
Oh,
you. Can you hear me?
yes, I can. I can now.
Good. Yeah, I don't know why. I think it just was like automatically muted when I logged on, so so how is your week going so far?
It is going good. Um, yeah, it's going good.
Good.
How's your week going so far?
Pretty good. Yeah, things are feeling okay. Better since Sunday.
Good.
It feels yeah, it feels like energy shifted again where it just feels like um yeah, it's you're doing the dissolving the ego intensive, right?
Mhm,
Yeah, so that was contemplation on Sunday and
mhm,
I've wanted to kind of delve into that more, especially after reading the Transcending the Mind book. Um and it just feels like there was a lot of resistance around this, around going deeper into certain feelings. It just felt um scary and unpleasant. Um, but it's just becoming more and more clear that that's really where the gold is as far as not so what happened this week was there was just a really clear understanding of how a particular pattern has been playing out in my life for many years, especially over the past, it's intensified over the past, say, 5 or 6 years. And it's just so much clearer that there's something that I can't remember if Helen said it in the contemplation class on Sunday or if it was in another video that I saw, but I've heard her talk about this before, but it just like hit different and it made more sense and it was clearer that it was true that that we're not having the feeling because of the things we're experiencing, but we're experiencing things because of believing the story behind
mhm,
this feeling. And that just became very clear. And it just it's become a really strong motivation to delve more deeply because there's just a really intense desire to not keep experiencing the same pattern anymore, especially because it's rooted in a sense of separation and it's just becoming more and more clear that um like it's less conceptual, there's just more of there's just less resistance around it, I think. And it's kind of happened before, but it just keeps going deeper, where it's like um where there's just more and more um yeah, it's more and more clear that things really will shift to reflect um no longer believing in these stories, so there's less resistance around doing the 30-day challenges and especially like the conscious imagining. There's like I'm excited to be doing that again. It's starting to feel Um, yeah, like there's fewer and fewer thoughts coming up saying like this isn't going to happen, this can't happen, because all of that was rooted in this particular story. I was watching a video last night where Helen was talking about it's one of the Transcending the Mind classes, and she just mentioned it in passing. Um, you know how she'll have like a story that she came up with for each emotion that she had
Yeah.
surface. And I hadn't heard this one before, I don't think, and she just said it in passing, but she was like, first of all, she said each contemplation statement should begin with I, which I don't remember hearing before, but that actually makes a lot more sense now. That I see like what she's actually talking about here with like hearing what the emotion is actually trying to say. Um, and so the one she said was, I've lost everything that I want and need to make me happy, and I can't ever get it back, something like that. And she said that's grief. And then she went on to a couple of others. And it just like I had to pause the video because I know that that's the most prevalent thought loop that I have, and it has started to become more clear um since starting the Transcending the Mind book and course, but it just was like, yeah, no, that's it. That's what I have been experiencing over and over again, is like simply not being able to have anything, feeling like I don't have that. It's like impossible to be happy. Like it's impossible for me to be happy. Like I don't, like there's a sense that at one time I had that, but it's gone and I don't know how to get it back, basically. That's one of the
Right.
reasons the conscious imagining was so challenging, because it's like I just couldn't believe in it. I couldn't believe that that was possible, because there was just this grief story that was really not being looked at fully. I'd kind of looked at it from a couple of different angles and gotten partway there, but to really get to the root of it, that like there was just something about hearing it in those words that just made it clear that there was still all this um yeah, all of these I thoughts wrapped around that one story, and that it was just like impossible for anything to really shift as long as that would continue to surface and it was believed in, basically. So, um,
What were you saying, like when you first started this conversation about the I, something about the I? It starts with
so
something starts with I, or
yeah, that the emotion, like, so when you're trying to come up with a contemplation question, and you do that by finding a particular emotion, you're
yeah.
feeling a particular emotion, and then the story that that emotion is trying to tell, um, like the most powerful way to do that, to really get to the heart of that story, is that that it begins with I, that it's that the emotion is saying I'm not safe. So it's not
Oh,
about
yeah.
like
So it's
it's
an
not
I
about like,
story.
yeah, it's an I story. So
Yes.
it's not just about like life or whatever. It's really it feels like a really personal story. Like that's how
Yes.
I really get to and so I didn't, so some of the contemplations say, I realized that the contemplation statements that I was doing, they were not that direct, they weren't questioning that directly, that story, and having it be because that's really, I think, the power of it, and why it starts to become more and more clear that the story can't be true, especially as your identity becomes more and more rooted in the formless awareness.
Mhm.
It just causes that to dissolve more and more, I think. So yeah,
Yeah, because it would because it has to, because there is no I. There's no
Not
I
not
in
a separate
unity.
I.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's not but that's what feels so true to the mind,
Yeah.
this feeling of being a separate person who's experienced a life and has had all of these things happen. And um it's not until those emotions can be worked with that that can really dissolve, because it's not happening on the mind level, it's happening on the energetic level. And these
Hmm.
emotions are energies that just keep looping around and around. And that is what literally creates what appears to be this outside world and these life experiences, and that was something that I accepted on the mind level, but I see it now clearly in my own life experience. It's like, yeah, that's definitely what's happening. And it just feels like a relief to see that. It feels like things can actually change the more clearly that's seen, because um, there's just an acceptance around it, and there's no longer a feeling that, yeah, of being like powerless, of being powerless to change anything or to shift anything. So so yeah, it's good to be feeling less resistance. That can get pretty gnarly, as you know.
Yes, yes, I do. Yeah, yeah. I am loving this challenge.
Yeah.
I am so entrenched in it. Um, it just,
The Unity and Oneness Challenge,
yeah,
or
it like just came up at the perfect timing. With at the end of the last challenge where things just started losing their form, their shape. It was just kind of blinking in and out. You know what I mean? Like, those last 4 or 5 days of that challenge were pretty gnarly for me. And then when
yeah,
that
I
happened,
remember
that was
that.
like really freaky. And it just, I want to say that was the precipice of this current challenge, because what had happened for me there is exactly what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
And it's just, when you're in contemplation and you've got this question, it's an authentic question, and the more you ask that question, the more preposterous it seems to be. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like it almost like, again, feels like you're playing with your food versus, the food eating you. Um,
Wait, say that last part again.
I said it starts feeling like it just feels ridiculous to even be asking that question, you know?
Yeah, but what did you actually just say? I sounded like you
Oh,
said something about food.
it feels like more like you're playing with your food versus the
Oh,
food
yeah.
eating you.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
And
gotcha.
I feel like that's what's going on with this challenge. Like, it's becoming so clear that there is only unity, there is only oneness, there is no separation, there's no creator, no creation, there's no that's being created inside, outside, here, there, everywhere. Like, like all the opposites seem to be collapsing
Yeah.
on a major scale. And there's a lot less stories of anything going on over here, yeah, over here. You know what I mean? Like, it just seems it feels like in contemplation when you're asking the same thing over and over again. Eventually, it's like you just know it to be something in me just knows this to be so true that it's it's getting harder to think even in separation, really.
Yeah.
Even even, and I think this has been coming up in the last, like verbally anyway, where I've been sharing it in the challenge, but maybe for a couple of weeks it's been coming up. There's not even a seer because if there was a seer, then there would have to be two. In order to see something, there has to be other. You know what I mean? And something's been happening here about this seeing business that I'm seeing this rise. And I know we have to use language, right? Like we can't
Right.
get around language. Um, but there's something about I'm finding it very, very hard to even believe that there's a seer of things. That if what I am is just the one being, and there is nothing other than that. And when we look, that is the case. That's been seen over and over and over again. Then I can't be seeing anything. I can only be being present to myself.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
can't be
even though,
observing a thought. I can't be observing a feeling. I, because that in itself applies that there's two. There's what I am, and then there's what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing this mind
yeah.
activity. That can't be. It it can only mean that all that there is the infinite self. And realistically, there is no thing. There is just the self. And these vibrations of appearances and how I am expressing myself in that moment is still not separate to myself.
No.
It hasn't come out of me. It's not
Right.
going back into me. It's just now it's vibrating here and it's being seen. And at some point, that's going to change and it's going to be something else, and that's not going to be seen the way it's being seen. But there cannot be anything being seen.
Yeah. It's
That
not
is
seen
of
as
the mind.
separate.
The mind says that plant over there is being seen. But from the formlessness that I am standpoint, not believing in the mind and knowing that the mind cannot perceive unity,
Right.
I am not seeing a plant or a thought or an emotion. I can only be present to myself. And if everything completely disappeared, right? There,
Yeah.
there's nothing at all except for myself. Just everything just gone and vanished. I would just be.
Yeah. I mean, that's
That's
the
it.
thing.
So realistically, that's all that's going on here is I can only be with myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what Helen means when she talks about that we're not actually interacting with the world of
It's not
form.
possible. It's not
Yeah.
possible. And even before, when I used to say things like, again, we're going to use that plant. I think this plant has really been helping me because it's always the same plant, you know? So we're going to use the plant again. There used to be this language of, well, the essence of that plant is myself, right?
Mm,
Well, then that would mean that some part of that of myself has been extracted to make that plant. So my essence is that plant's essence, right? But it's not possible to extract anything from myself. I cannot be
right.
split into two in any way,
Yeah,
shape, or form. Nothing can be extracted from me to be creating something else like that plant. So, really, that plant is just myself. It can
yeah,
only be myself.
yeah,
It can't be a plant. I don't know what that is. All I know for sure is that that is myself
right.
because
Yeah, I
that's
mean
all
that,
it can be.
yeah. I mean that's the essence of non-duality, it's I remember in one of Dan's meditations, he said, and I think this is quoting a teacher of some kind, but form is exactly emptiness, and emptiness is exactly form. And, to the mind, that doesn't make any sense, but the mind is dealing with appearances. And
And it's dual, so it's going to give
yeah,
labels. It's going to say this is formless and this is solid. That's
yeah,
what the mind's going to do because that's what the mind does. That's its function. It puts the sum of something into parts. You know what I mean? So this body has a finger and an arm and a kidney and a lung and a heart, and those are all labels. But actually, all of those, all of those is the body. You know what I mean? Like it's not one individual, it's all moving together. It's all one thing together. Like that is the mind. This is solid. This is not solid. This is this, and this is this. But from the formless standpoint, knowing that the mind cannot come out of its function in
mm,
in this appearance, that is useful. You need there there actually needs to be labels. There is a language that is spoken. You know what I mean? That is a useful tool in this type of realm, you know. But essentially setting the side aside, not separate from me, but aside, to drop the labels. I am the sum of all my parts, and all my parts are not my parts. They're all just one.
mm,
That's it. It's like it really is like if you were to explain what a tree is, right? You would say, well, a tree is green and has branches, got leaves, it's got trunk, and it's got roots, right? But to really, that's just a small fraction because if you were explaining that to somebody who didn't know what a tree was, they'd say you'd have to explain the whole environment of the tree.
mm,
You would, because that doesn't mean nothing. Like a tree's roots are in the soil. Without the soil, the tree dies. You've just removed it from something that it is. Without the soil, a tree cannot survive. Without the sky and the air, a tree cannot survive. Take away the sun, the tree cannot survive. The tree is the totality of its environment. It cannot be without anything that is in its environment. You remove any of those things, and the tree will die because those things, the sun, the sky, the rain, the dirt, those are all tree. The tree is equally those things. Just like if you were to explain what a person is to an alien, you know, you would have to explain the environment. Because just saying, well, there's a person, they've got feet and they've got legs and they got, this and that, and people walk. Well, what do they walk on?
Mm,
Right? Oh, and people breathe. What do they breathe? You cannot describe a person without describing its environment. You cannot take a person out of its environment and it's going to survive. It's not possible. It's just not possible. A person, a tree, whatever it is its environment. It's and it can't be any other way, which means the environment, the environment itself, all this environment, right? That environment, it too also has an environment, a deeper environment. And that
mm,
deeper environment is formlessness. Because without the formlessness, like a tree without its environment and a person without its environment cannot be here. It cannot survive. It's not possible to even be visible
right.
without the formlessness, period. Which means all of this is formlessness. Just like to be a person is its environment, not just this outline here. This person is its environment. It's just as a person versus a tree, there's an ability to move around and adjust to environments. But you still cannot take that person out of an environment.
Mm,
And none of this is possible without formlessness. None of it. Therefore, it is formlessness. It's very essence in nature is myself. Hence why it mimics, it mirrors formlessness so perfectly. And this has been going on for quite some time. I just never really saw it, but it was becoming more and more clear. Like when I look out at everything, there is such a wonder there. Like we don't even have the capacity to even know how far of a reach this world of form is. I mean,
mm,
because like if you go down to the smallest atom and then shoot it forward, like we have no idea. Like it's more than just this planet. There's outside this planet, there are star systems and galaxies, and how far does that even reach? Nobody even knows the depths of that. It's not
mm,
even possible. And when you even start seeing like that, when you look out like that image is so vast. It's really hard to wrap your brain around it, that because that really makes you even smaller than a speck of sand. You know what I mean? Like even tinier than that, which mirrors formlessness perfectly. Because formlessness, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that even means to go for all of eternity deeper into myself. What does that even fucking mean? It means there's a never ending depth to myself. Like that's like, without time and space, that's like what? But it's exactly the same mirror. It's the exact same. They're, neither one are any different. It's just one you can, we're looking at it, it's touchable, tangible, right? But there are aspects of it that are so deep and so vast that we as a species may never, ever be able to touch that.
Mm,
Where is the limit to that? Where is the boundary to that? As far as we know, there is none.
right.
And it has to be that way. It would have to be that way because our formlessness that we are, that this is, that actually is, not separate to, would have to mirror back that there's no boundaries or limits. There's no
Yeah,
end point. There's a depth so vast that we can't even comprehend that.
yeah. It makes sense. It would have to be that way. Yeah, I mean, even though that's the thing, even the world of form, the mind doesn't actually comprehend, let alone formlessness, you know?
Right. And they're exactly the same thing. They're
Yeah.
exactly the same thing. They show exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes it any seem any different than that is a function of the mind. And that is a function of the mind, which means that's why the mind doesn't have to change. It really doesn't. Because when you know that it's the function of the mind to say, that's a plant, this is a person, I've got to go to school 20 minutes down the road, those are all for this life stream. Those functions are necessary. But that
Yeah.
does not explain or could never explain what I am, what it actually is, because that is unexplainable. That is actually unspeakable, really. And even trying to explain that somewhat butchers it because our language is dual in nature. You
Right.
know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah. And language can only be used to describe things that are forms, even if it's subtle forms,
Yeah,
it still can only talk about forms. It can't actually
yeah,
talk about formlessness, it can't talk about, um, it's limited in nature.
yeah.
Language is limited in nature. It can't describe what we actually are.
I think this really, I think this is where that statement, know thyself, really comes into because I know sometimes we say, like, now that I'm seeing the function of the mind, like, there's a really, like, this is necessary for the mind to function in this way. It doesn't need to be in this way, but there's something that is really profoundly shifting here where all that there is myself, this one, right? And to say, well, just stay there, right? It's not a matter of it's staying rooted here. It's a matter of knowing thyself so profoundly that no matter what the mind says, you just know. And you know that that's not it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a matter of even staying rooted here or planted here. I can't be anywhere but here. I am that. It's just knowing that all I can is be and be aware of myself, and I am aware of myself. That whatever the mind says or the labels that it has is not important. It's just a tool that's used to
Yeah,
maneuver around this life stream while it's here, and that's it. And to just know that I am that, all of it. And I'm just seeing myself as myself,
mm, right.
to myself, for myself. It's all self. Talk about being self-centered. That kind of takes on a whole new meaning, doesn't it?
Yeah, with it
Being
when it's a
so self-centered.
capital S self-centered is different. It's a bit different. Um,
Something really profound is really deepening here. And again, something really started happening when this something is playing and toying with the idea of that I can't be seeing anything either. I can only be aware of myself. I can't even be seeing. I can't be seeing or watching. There's just a knowing that it's all myself. It is myself. Then what am I watching? What am I seeing? Or
right.
am I
There's
just
nothing.
aware?
Yeah,
It almost feels like something about that is starting to really unfold and drop away. And the mind's going, this is like a tongue twister.
wait, what is the mind doing?
The mind goes, this is like a tongue twister, but a mind twister. You know what I
Mm,
mean? But
right.
but there's something about it that's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the mind that that gets it. And that's okay. It's not wrong, it's not bad. It's just
Doing what it
it's
does.
yeah, it's just operating in duality and it likes to build conceptual models of things. It likes to play with words. It likes to feel like it knows what's real. But it really is just a habit for the mind to be believed in that way. It does start to break down, and then there is no limit to anything. And any kind of trying to figure it out with the mind just ends up being um energy going into something that ultimately can't, it's not it's just a movement of the mind. It's not actually getting anything.
Mm.
Um and the more that's seen, then um the more life is lived as a question, instead of from a place of, it feels at first like um non-dual teachings at first can feel like losing your foundation. It feels like, well, how can I know anything then? How can I function if I don't if everything I've ever thought is rooted in this illusion? But that's the thing. It's life does move on its own. It doesn't actually need the mind to understand. It doesn't, thinking actually isn't required. Concepts aren't actually required. Life is just moving on its own.
Yeah. And I mean, the mind also isn't separate from the self either. It is the self. It is also an appearance, a temporary expression of the self. So things are still going to get done. That's not going to change. Thoughts are going to happen. It's just the more clear we are knowing all of this, in meaning ourselves, you know, then when the tool of the mind is being used, the quality of that tool is going to be very different,
Mm,
right? It's still going to function the same. This is a lived experience. I know we say it's an illusion. Yeah, the illusion is what the mind is saying that it is. And the
yeah,
belief in what the mind is saying that it is, that is the illusion. This is still a lived experience. You know what I mean? That's not the illusion here. It's what the mind is saying all of this is.
yeah.
And when you go deeper into that and you find out what all of this actually really is, it doesn't mean that any of what's going on is going to be any different. It just means that you're going to be self centered, let's say. It might become my new favorite saying for myself. You know what I mean? In beingness and knowing that the quality of the thoughts or uh I don't know, let's say some sort of decision is made, right? The quality of where that live stream goes is going to be different when it's not coming from a place of separation, but it's all going to function in the same way.
It'll function better. It'll function much better because it's when when we are coming from a place of separation, that's what ends up being reflected, you know.
Yeah.
But the more we see that we're not separate, the more we see that um, there's no doer, then life is free to move in the way that it's wanted to move all along without this this belief in separation and lack and um all of the stories that the mind tells about what this is. Like it all does dissolve the more
The
uh,
narrative is what's going to dissolve the
yeah,
narrative about it all. And that is really the illusion, the narrative, the belief in the narrative.
yeah,
But, like that old saying, once you become enlightened or whatever it is, you know it better than I do. We've said it before. You know, um, still, Chuck wouldn't carry water.
yeah, right, yep,
It's just
yeah,
what's what is seen to be carrying that wouldn't, carrying that water and chopping wood is very different.
yeah. I mean, it's there's no longer the sense of being um the body, being the mind, and all of the limitations that come with that. That has to change the experience of life when that illusion dissolves. All fear goes when separation goes, the belief of separation goes, like what is there to fear when everything is your very self and that is seen clearly? It's um like everything comes from a place of love then. Everything comes from a place of total acceptance because there's no um the self-protective mechanism of the ego is not driving everything anymore. So that's why, and like anything becomes possible, it's only the mind's limitations that has said, you know, there's only this limited set of possibilities, and that's it. And that's always based on what's already been experienced. And yeah, it's like totally closed off to everything else, any other possibility. So,
And then it's like you take that down to the macro, right? Micro, macro. Then it becomes very clear that when a mind pattern comes up and you're hearing a narrative about something, right? And an emotion comes up in regards to that narrative, or vice versa. Sometimes an emotion will come and then a narrative will come in. Oh, this must be this, right?
yeah.
Then when you can see that the mind is a labeling machine,
Mm,
right? But actually, that is what's not true. That this is all the self. Then when something does come up, as I have even noticed this week, it's much easier to be with that emotion without the narrative about it.
right.
And that is the game changer. Because actually the emotion isn't the problem. There is no problem with the emotion, because if you just go to the root of the emotion, or to the emotion itself is spacious.
Mm,
It's the narrative and the story that's being told about that feeling or that sensation, right?
right.
That there's a belief in, oh, that must be it, and then that starts generating more of a story, more of a narrative, and then
Mm,
on and on we go, right? But when you know that it's a labeling machine, and you know this is all the self, then sitting with just that emotion and not listening to the narrative is so much more easier about it.
yeah. Yeah, Helen even says that in the Transcending the Mind book that, there comes a point where you see that you could bypass the trigger event, bypass all the thoughts about the trigger event and just go straight to the emotion. Um, yeah, because the thoughts about it never like literally are never ending. Like there's no end to it. Whereas an emotion, um, when it's just felt and allowed to be, it usually has the capacity to dissolve back into the self. It doesn't have to keep, it doesn't have what we tend to do though, what the habit that most of us have for a long time is just going to thoughts about what is happening. Like that's what feels the most compelling. That's what sucks all our attention for the longest time. Um, but yeah, it's not, it becomes more and more clear that it's not actually helpful to do that.
No, and that is a lived experience, like a profound, and I'm seeing all this like really clearly now. Like when I was with Lean and when I was with Helen, and there was a situation of we went, in contemplation of going um, to this powerlessness that was underneath,
Oh yeah.
right? That was a big one for me. And then I got with Lean, and with Lean, we took that into self inquiry, and with Helen, I took it into contemplation, right? That's how we uncovered this powerlessness. And in both cases, when that was done, the mind was removed from its narrative
Mm,
during those
yeah.
practices. The narrative was gone, in the practice, and there was just being, which is all that I can be with what was arising, which was a sense of being powerless. And at the end of both of those practices and on my own was something really, really profoundly powerful. And then again, there have been times, even with you, like things have come up, but when we go into practice with them, the narrative and the story are removed, and we are
Yeah.
just being, and that's been done over and over and over and over again, right? And it's like lately I'm really seeing that it is the belief in the story that the mind is telling about something. Just just seeing that as a labeling machine, and being really self-centered. That's my new favorite line. Being really self-centered. Um, Knowing that that's all I actually can be is present
Mm,
to myself and nothing else. I can only be. I can only be. I can only be. That's
yeah. So how has it sounds like the conscious imagining, how has that practice been going? Has that started to,
okay.
is there
So
still,
it's kind of still the same. There are moments where I can have some conscious imaginings where I can actually see, in my mind's eye, it's like I can actually see it, which I don't understand because I am a very visual person in here, right?
yeah,
But when it comes to conscious imagining, not so much. Um, and it's only like the odd one here and there, maybe every, I don't know, just the odd one here and there where it actually, I can really see it, you know? And
yeah.
other ones, it just still kind of feels like I'm just kind of going through the motion of the conscious imagine.
Hmm.
It's not that it feels shitty or anything. No, it
Right.
doesn't. It still feels good, but it's just,
It feels like it feels good from listening to your messages. It feels like you get into it and it,
yeah, yeah. It's like,
uh,
it's not that it doesn't feel good. It feels good, but most of the time I'm not. It's like a story, really. It's like it's kind of like a story, but without the visuals. Like that's
yeah.
like it's almost like that's like when you used to have to beat the TV in the old fashioned days to make the picture come,
Oh yeah.
or you had to screw around with the bunny ears forever,
Oh
to make
yeah.
the picture come into view. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Like you can hear it, so there's a story going on being told, but the picture really isn't there. It's just not coming. Like it just can't. I don't know.
Yeah. And I
Something
think
is
it takes,
still not, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know what it is. But again, it's not that it feels horrible. It's not my favorite practice for sure. Like
yeah.
I still would prefer not to do it.
Mm.
Like I forgot yesterday completely.
Oh yeah. I
I
gotta
was
tell you
doing
that
these
yesterday.
practices and then I lost track of time because I was with my daughter all day and I went, I'll do this one after Louise. It only takes a few minutes. And then by the time we were done with Louise, I completely forgot that I didn't do it
Yeah.
and I went to bed because I was tired. And then I got up this morning and saw your messages and then I looked and I went, wait a minute, why is there only 119? Oh my gosh, I forgot conscious imagine. Of course it was conscious imagining. I forgot. Of course it was, right? So I just kind of blended the two of them this morning. And but do I look forward to doing that practice every day? No, I could do without it.
Yeah.
So like there's still something funky going on there,
Yeah. Um,
but I'm determined. Let me tell you, I am
yeah.
determined. I
Yeah.
don't care if I have to visit this challenge. I don't care if I miss it 50,000 times and get back on that pony. You know what I mean? I want to experience what Helen says it is, and that is not
Yeah.
happening. But I am determined to get there.
I mean, I think it is one of those things where um she talks about that in the readings, like it is like um like working a muscle almost, or like it is a practice, it's not what our brain is used to doing. Like that's not where the we do have that capacity to imagine, to tap into that, but it's not been practiced as adults really, so um but yeah, no, I think the good thing is like I'm not hearing a lot of like self-judgment or anything, I feel like that's
That's kind
that's
of out
not
the window.
not helpful. Yeah.
No, that's like I'm not really getting much self-judgment about anything really anymore. And if
Yeah.
there is like something that kind of streams in through the mind, it really is seen right away. It's like, yeah, there'll be enough of that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, even with yesterday with the missing of that practice when I noticed this morning, there wasn't like all this story
Yeah.
about the missing. There was just a laughing and go, of course it was conscious imagining,
Yeah.
whatever. You know what I mean? And there was a laughing about it, but there was nothing about, well, that just screwed up my 30 days or,
Right.
or
No, that's
this,
good.
oh, look, you're never going to get this if you missed there was like none of that. It was just of course it was that one and then there was a laugh about it, you know what I mean? But and then there was just okay, well, back on it again. And same with there's another practice. I've been asking these two questions in contemplation for quite some time. Actually, to tell you the truth, it probably has been 30 days or more. But
Mm,
one but in the three attempts. So I've been working on these questions for a while because I think in the three attempts that I've been doing them, I missed one day during the first attempt, right, which brought me back to square one. And then during my second attempt, I missed one day, right, which got me back to square one. And then the third attempt, I got further along and I missed one day. So I'm pretty sure between the three attempts, I've been working on the same two questions for quite some time. And
yeah.
now they're starting to seem ridiculous to even ask them. But there's also been no narrative about missing the day. It was like, oh, okay, well, I guess back to square one, day one again. Well, there's really
Yeah.
no time anyway, so isn't every day a day one? So it doesn't really matter how many day ones I have. But I really think it might. be 30 days or more that I've been working with these two questions because, quite frankly, like at this point right now, when I ask these questions, it really does feel like a cat playing with its food. Like they really do feel like they don't have any power anymore.
Yeah.
Like, but it doesn't really matter because actually what's going on, it has been going on with contemplation that hasn't really happened before is the fact that it feels like a meditation. Like
Yeah, I was
just
just gonna say that.
asking the question is actually fun. I look forward to this every day because man, does it have an effect on the body mind. Like
Mhm.
it's delicious. It is
Mhm.
a delicious. I spent about, I used to time it, right? And it was always working out. I would do one question on each page. And when I was timing in it, it was working out to be anywhere between 10 minutes being the less, and usually about 12 to 13 minutes most per page. And it was so consistent that I even stopped timing it because it was always working out in that time
Yeah.
frame. Usually around 11 or 12 minutes was the most consistent, so I would say I spend that amount of time with each question, but it's just delicious. Like it's not even about the answers. It's not even looking for an answer to the question. It's just I know the moment that question is asked and there's a pause, something really magical happens. So it's not even asking about the question because there's a problem with the question anymore. It's just I love how the question is actually a doorway to such this
Mhm.
delicious state of being that I
Yeah.
love it,
Yeah.
and again, 3 attempts each time. I missed one day, bringing me back to day one. I don't even know how many days it's been now, but and it doesn't matter. There's not even a story around it. And even if something did try and stream its way in there, it would be like, yeah, whatever. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. Um, yeah, it does that does start to fall apart. It's
yeah,
seen that it's just creating division or a sense of division, and it's just not
it's
um
losing its gravitational pull.
yeah, yeah,
Like
for sure.
most definitely, like that gravity that mind stream used to have,
Yeah,
man, that thing is crumbling.
yeah. It's good news. Yeah, it frees up a lot of energy too when that starts to happen.
And I can see that. Like I have a concussion
Mm.
and I am each day, like I am full of it. Like I am so full of energy. Like I have a lot of energy. And, today, not so much, but that made sense because I was out gallivanting with my daughter all day, and that included a lot of driving and concentrating on driving, and
Yeah,
it's not necessarily concussion friendly, so that would make sense why the body mind was tired today. There was compassion for that. There didn't need to be a story around it. It didn't mean that anything was happening. It just meant, okay, well, a lot of focus was needed yesterday, and the body mind is tired today, and that's fine. It just needs to rest.
yeah.
But on average, man, sometimes I feel like I could generate a power plant. Like there's there's so much energy here. It's crazy almost. And that has to be because it's being freed up from stuff.
Yeah,
It's got to be. Where else would all this be coming from, all of us? And it's not all
yeah,
of a sudden. It's been here for a while. I think I've talked to you about this before. but it is, and it's consistent. It's not like the like before where I would like have one odd day where I was really, you know, like before I used to blame it on, the ADHD, you know, like today I'm hyperactive and for some reason today I'm not, and it was like all over the place. But no, this is like
Yeah.
consistent most days more than not. I have got an abundance of energy
Mm.
and things are getting done
Yeah.
with ease, without planning,
Yeah.
without and more and more stuff is getting done than it was even before, even
Right.
when I did have energy, because I would be getting stressed out about all the things I had myself my hand. I'd be doing this and I'd be doing this and I'd be here and I'd be there, and it was like, oh, and this needs to be done, and then like even with all that energy I'd be like stressed out about stuff, and by the end of the day I'd be
Exactly.
like done,
Yeah.
maybe late in the evening, but it was like, oh my God, that was such a oh, fuck me,
Yeah.
but no, like I I don't know how this house is staying so clean, because not that I was dirty before, but it's like now it almost seems like it doesn't get untidy.
Yeah.
Or maybe if I was working, it might be different. I don't know, but it just seems like more stuff is getting done without a plan, with ease. I'm not thinking about the next thing that needs to be done. Suddenly the body just gets up and does something, and it's pleasant, and it's not even like a chore.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, I still have energy and I go, what the heck? you know, you know? So, I don't know. It's nice,
Yes.
and I haven't had anything come up that is a problem lately, like nothing major, and maybe something will, but I truly I truly believe that if something does happen, or something does come up, or something uncomfortable shows up, that there's going to be, I know there's a different capacity, like there's going to be more capacity to deal with it, and there's going to be a lot more, it's just going to be approached in maybe in a very different way. Like I can already see that, like there's not a problem here, nothing's shown up, but when and if it does, because this is life, so just because I'm rooted in myself doesn't mean that nothing's going to come forth ever again. That's unrealistic. Like, but I really do. I know there's just more capacity to meet it in a very different way. And
Yeah.
in that
Right.
mind stream storytelling label machine, I just I just feel like it's just not going to be as believable when that happens.
Yeah, it does become less believable. And even when it does get, like, even when some identification happens, it doesn't last for as long. It's not as compelling it doesn't like lead to, weeks and months of feeling terrible. Things resolve more quickly. They move through the system more quickly.
Yeah,
So, so I have to go.
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, but no, it was good to check in.
I was going to send you our last video, and I don't know what happened, because everything was done the same,
Mm,
everything.
yeah,
And when our meetings are done, it goes through this process of its own thing. and then it spits that video out into my email, and then
Okay.
I can share it and I can download
Yeah.
it and all this other stuff. And even though everything was done the same
Hmm.
with our last time, it did
Yeah.
not do the process of processing it and spitting it out into my email. It just didn't do it.
Okay.
It's the only one that didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I went in there because it's there, it's in the Zoom. So I was trying to figure out, okay, well, that's kind of weird that it's the
It didn't
only
email you.
video that
Yeah.
didn't do that. And for some reason, I can't figure out how to download it from the Zoom.
Hmm.
So if if I can at some point, I will send that to you.
Yeah.
And maybe it didn't do what it always does because maybe it wasn't meant to be shared. I don't know,
Maybe.
but
I
I
don't
think it's
know. Who
kind of
knows?
bizarre. So that's
Yeah.
why I didn't
Well,
send it to you, just so you know. It's because I don't know how to
yeah.
send it to you because it didn't do its normal thing.
Hmm. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens with the one to today if it's
Yeah,
yeah. And yeah, I don't know why that would be the case,
it
but
was
yes,
weird.
you'll see what happens with the one from tonight and yeah. So, yeah. Well, it's been good talking to you, Tanya,
Hmm.
as always, and we will touch base again on Sunday.
On Sunday.
But in the meantime, I've really been enjoying going deeper into these challenges. Um,
Yeah, me
yeah,
too. I
it's just
think
a
this
good,
might be my favorite one thus far. If I could
yeah,
have a favorite, this would be it. I
yeah,
am really, really enjoying even some of the earlier ones where it really started challenging the mind situation.
yeah.
And it was like the mind just can't go any further. And I knew that. And it was like getting challenged there. Like it's been good. It's a challenge that was needed to
Yeah,
break whatever barrier has been here. And I
yeah.
don't
We
know,
just
there's
want to
just something
see,
special about this
yeah.
challenge.
Well,
It'll
when
be
there's a,
interesting what time brings. If that's our next one. What's time gonna bring us?
oh, right, yeah. No, that'll be good.
Right?
Um, yeah, no, yeah, the direct teachings are, it can be challenging for the mind, but when you want the truth and you want to live as the truth and deepen into the truth, then, there's at some point um, these direct teachings come along that just point to that, and it just becomes more and more clear that the mind isn't going to be able to figure it out or come to some kind of like nice stopping place and be like, oh, I get this. I understand this. I'm okay with this. Like it's more and more, it's just a letting go of that habit of consulting the mind to tell us what's real.
And knowing, like, the more and more that happens, the less and less we can consult the mind. And like, just even consulting the mind is falling away. Like, it's not, it's just,
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It falls away on its own when it becomes clear that it's not yeah, that it's like out of its depths when it comes
oh,
to
yeah,
capital R reality. So,
most definitely. Okay, Ellie, I'll see you
all
on
right.
Sunday. Have a
Yep.
good night.
Sounds good. Have a great night. Love ya.
Okay,
Talk to you
bye-bye. Love
later.
you.
Bye.